Hello friends, Coco is here and let's get started. Imaginary Friends is an American family fantasy film about an imaginary world where everyone once created by children lives. Imaginary friends, however, now forgotten and left alone, this concept is reminiscent of Pixar cartoons. What if imaginary friends of children actually exist and do not disappear anywhere when the child grows up in such a world? Lives a duo who buried their mother. A 12-year-old girl who one day notices a huge purple monster walking through the streets of New York. The girls quickly explain how the world really works, so she decides to remind boring adults about those who have never been forgotten. It's not difficult to guess what kind of harmless stories are hidden behind the popular ones. In our time, the plot is about trauma and grief experiences. Hello, what is, where, and Uncle. Telling the story of the rise of the fearless warrior Furiosa. In the plot, after the fall of civilization, 45 years have passed. Young Furiosa, living with her family in the fertile land of green lands of thousands of mothers, is kidnapped by mountain bikers led by the military leader Dementus. Crossing the wasteland, the gang encounters the army of the immortal Jew, the manager of the Citadel Furiosa, who finds himself in the epicenter of the confrontation between the two. The tyrants will have to endure many trials and devote their lives to returning home. Thus begins the great odyssey of the brave heroine. Omen: The First Sign is a prequel to the classic horror film Omen from 1976 with the star of A Servant's House on Alta Iger Free. According to the plot, 71 years old, a young novice Margaret comes from the USA to Rome to be ordained as a monk. In the meantime, the girl lives with another novice and works with girls from the orphanage at the monastery, among whom Carlita attracts her attention. She keeps to herself and suffers from terrifying visions like Margera herself, but the Vatican monks will not have to face evil forces where they will make her doubt her own faith. The girl learns about a terrifying conspiracy whose goal is the birth of the Antichrist. The Caretakers is a psychological horror film, and The Caretakers a supernatural thriller in the spirit and picture of The Father but with a current background. This is a movie and the experience of trauma. The film will tell about the buried from a girl who, after a car breakdown, finds herself in the middle of a huge impenetrable forest in the west of Ireland. The girl manages to find a shelter, but it also becomes a trap, for she and several other people in the group live in a glass house and believe that mysterious creatures are watching them at night. I Am a Captain, a drama by Italian director Matteo Garrone, who received several awards at the Venice Film Festival. Two young brothers in Senegalese are trying to escape from a bad life and try their luck by going to Europe, but to get to their dream, a teenager has to overcome a difficult path through the harsh desert and the stormy sea, encounter the police and slave traders. All we can do is hope for a miracle. I Am a Captain, on the one hand, a social drama about refugees and slavery, on the other, a terrible fairy tale about the pursuit of a dream. The project may well count on an Oscar in the category of Best Foreign Film. It is a targeted message to the Italian government regarding migration policy. Recipe for Love: This is a historical melodrama about delicious food and ageless love. In 1885, serious passions reign in the world of cooking, and Genya, a respected and experienced chef, has been collaborating with the famous gourmet Dan for 2 decades. The years spent together are not in vain. They become more and more attached and fall in love. They are united by a passion not only for exquisite dishes, but also sensual love. In this love and harmony, delicious dishes are born that amaze everyone who tried them, but his wife always appreciated her freedom and never wanted to marry Dan, and then he decides to do what I've never done this before, namely cooked for her. The Dead Don't Hurt is the second film by Viggo Mortensen to consolidate his success in a new field as a director. The Hollywood actor decided in a different genre in his second work. Mortensen turns to the Western, or rather its feminist rethinking. This is a story of bitter love when two people who are unlike each other meet in the middle of the 19th century. Loneliness aristocratic Vivian and the stern soldier Alger carefree and full of joy. Life ends when civil war begins outside the window. Alger goes to the front and Vivian humbly waits for the return of her lover despite the melodramatic plot and an attempt to take a look at the genre female perspectives in the film. There are enough signature elements of the Western charismatic villain's reasoning about the lawlessness of intense duels and of course brutal murders. The Last People is a film adaptation of Alex Gandy's Yellow Heart as well as a military drama film where the events take place in French Indochina. In March 1945, the Japanese army launches a sudden and extremely brutal attack on French garrisons in the Far East. Thousands of civilians and soldiers were executed. A column of legionnaires pursued by the Japanese enemy, already weakened by alcohol and disease, decides to go deeper into the jungle to try to get to China because an ally on the one hand. The film is certainly interesting but at the same time can be perceived by many as a frankly boring movie, but still a historical military project with strong dramatic aspects. Coco and friends were with you. Don't forget to subscribe so as not to miss other interesting films in the world of cinema.